Hey, hi, this is Illyas Kooliyankal. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank. Let me first of all thank Credent Security and Mr. Gareth for giving me this opportunity to speak at this wonderful webinar on cybersecurity. And it's my privilege to speak at this occasion and give you some kind of insights and thoughts that could trigger, your imagination about cybersecurity. The topic what I'm going to speak about is something that link about the current and the past and the future cybersecurity threats, and what is the development and what is happening in cybersecurity, especially considering the COVID pandemic. So basically, the cyber crimes being evolved from a normal kind of script kiddie kind of cyber attacks to a cyber war. If you see the recent political tensions across the world and the countries being involved, there are even wars being fought on the cyber front. So the cybersecurity risk could be originating from inside us and also from outside. So predominantly we thought about or we think about cyber attacks from the external world, but similar or even bigger threats are actually internal. And this is very true related to the COVID scenarios where working from home is very common, and organization has to take certain risk associated with those, and the internal insider threats to organizations are increasing alarmingly. These are actually some of the examples of cyber breaches and incidents happen. I'm referring to pre-COVID era, and there are so many now during last 5-6 months during COVID situation. So why cyber crimes are on the rise always? Now, if you see the current scenario itself, the COVID situation made organizations and people to adopt to technology very aggressively. I mean, there's no way other than working from home and using remote access and using all the services what they would have been bit hesitant in the past. So the technology growth and the movement of normal business operations and services to the online world, including now, for example, the education system, the whole schools are working online. I mean, the e-learning is common across the world. And similarly, the criminals who were in the physical world also moved to the cyber world now. Not now, in the past many years. So that's what happening. And that movement of cyber criminals to that, or criminals to the cyber world, is on an exponential rate now, because the comfort of sitting in a remote location and operate in an anonymous manner gives this opportunity for the criminals to execute their plans with enormous time in hand, and the potential victims could be a very new user to the internet. And that's what, if you link it with the COVID situation, you will find that even people who were not using internet in the past actually moved to the cyber world. The people who were not connected to the internet are now connected to internet. The schools, the students, the families, the every nook and corner of the world is being now connected to internet and using internet services. So the potential chances of the criminals to get benefit out of a fraud or a cyber fraud is being, multifolded now. So the technology advancement, as you see, was extremely fast or exponentially fast, and that is being increased now on a very alarming mode, or very aggressive mode during the COVID situation. I mean, the digital transformation itself for organizations being taking place very fast during this COVID, because the situation forced organizations to move to digital world. So there are a lot of new things coming. Artificial intelligence, the big data, the cloud environment, the augmented reality, everything is happening now in a very fast-paced manner. So what are the risks these all could lead to organization and to countries and individuals? Now, if you see, the attacks in the future could be even targeting the robotic devices that's coming up with a lot of new features which supports physical interactions among human beings. The augmented reality, the the identity and the artificial intelligence based systems, all this could be under tremendous amount of pressure because of cyber security related attacks. The criminals or the bad guys would be really looking at the loopholes in these systems, or this new technology advancement, because the aggressive pace at which these are coming out did not give enough time, or not giving enough time for organizations to make sure the right security controls are there. So these are going to be opportunity for the criminals or the hackers to identify or to look out for security gaps that can be misused. So what is the ultimate? I mean, now if you see, the organizations and countries now going to be fighting on the cyber front, and cyber wars and cyber attacks could be taking into a multiple mode of operandi. The objectives of this could be money. For some of these cyber criminals are really behind money, and that is actually the return of investment, or return on investment would be something very attractive for the cyber criminals. It could be to destruct or destroy certain kind of services or data and interrupt the services of organizations or even countries. Their national critical infrastructure could be targeted by these criminals, or whatever the people behind those motives. Consider cyber attacks, and from the origin of computers and the computer based technologies and services, if you look at the past in 1990s or 1980s to 90s, when the computer originally came, the main use or the mode of operandi or mode of use of computers were always separated. I mean, it's individual computers, and the only kind of cyber risk or cyber threat is viruses. And viruses, again, it has to spread through a floppy disk. I don't know how many of you are aware of floppy disk. You can carry files and data in floppy disk, no USBs, those days. So these floppies can be the source of, or can be the medium of transmission of viruses. Now, when it comes to 1999 2000 period, the network connectivity become more common, and the firewalls and the network based attacks are being taking place. And then the security measures from the 1990s of antivirus protection to firewalls, network based firewalls, that really is coming into place. So the security was around the firewalls and other similar kind of solutions. So when it comes to the 2000 period, the next kind of attacks become, even if you open a particular port in the firewall, there were attacks that was kind of targeting those open ports on an application level. So then the intrusion prevention detection kind of solutions coming into place. So those solutions were actually able to detect those attacks that is a bit more detailed than the network layer. So the development of IPS, IDS, kind of took place. So the next generation of attacks are more targeted. They were, APT kind of attacks, advanced persistent threats, where they were really targeting certain organizations or institutions and through multiple channels. So they were, even not really you can detect. It's like payloads, pieces of attack, exploits being sent or intruded to the network without being detected. So during those periods, those APT prevention solutions came out, and that is the fourth generation of cyber attacks. Then it become, if you see, it reached to a fifth generation of attack when the military grade of kind of attacks being started to deploy by organizations or even countries. So where the attacks were more sophisticated and 0 days kind of vulnerabilities being exploited with a very targeted kind of modus of operandi. So if you recollect the WannaCry incident, where that was a very alarming incident where a lot of organizations across the world were infected, and it was a very, very new mode of attack where the exploit was a military kind of exploit that is being used in that particular incident. So that ransomware attack that was targeted and that was actually being impacting a lot of organization across the world was an eye opener for organizations and countries, where the cyber attacks being reaching to a next level of sophistication. So cyber attacks could be a very small scale crimes, a small fraud that is going to impact a particular individuals, and the frequency of those kind of frauds which you are seeing nowadays, the related to banking or other institutions, and small time frauds happening. These are very, very, very common these days. But a cyber war could be a very rarely happening, but the impact of that could be even humongous. So that could be impacting even the whole country if the attack or if that cyber war or based attack was targeting a critical national infrastructure like an electrical grid or a transportation system or a nuclear power plant or even oil firms. And that's what actually took place in some parts of the world. So the cyber warfare tactics could be from a normal espionage of leaking information on a very regular basis without being detected, to an infrastructure manipulation, and a power grid infrastructure could be manipulated by the enemy nation, or it could be a nuclear power plant could be manipulated by an enemy nation. So there are different variety of attacks that could be part of a cyber war. So now, if we really look into what's happening in artificial intelligence and the latest digital transformation, the data analytics, this is actually giving a different direction to the cyber security scenario, because although there are a lot of cyber security solutions and products that are coming up with artificial intelligence capability to detect and manage cyber risk, at the same time the hackers or the criminals or the nation states could be leveraging artificial intelligence to really design and deploy certain kind of very, very sophisticated cyber attacks. Just imagine now the different kinds of phishing emails or the scams or the spams which we are receiving in our mailboxes with offer about certain lottery you won, or a prize you won with from a supermarket chain, or a Nigerian scam where you're being offering some kind of a big money and asking for a kind of a nominal fee for sending this money. Those kind of phishing emails and asking you to click even certain links to get some kind of an information from you. Now these are actually very randomly targeted emails, and there could be some spear phishing emails which they really target you with certain information they collect about you from the social media or other channels. Now, if you imagine using artificial intelligence, the bad guys can customize millions of emails targeting millions of people using artificial intelligence, the behavior, the vulnerabilities or the weakness of these individuals, and customize emails targeting those people, or even emails targeting organizations by customizing those emails targeting their weaknesses or vulnerabilities. And even cyber attacks could be customized and launched against certain organization based on the automated information collection and the behavioral analytics, and the behavioral analytics and artificial intelligence mix. There could be very customized attacks that could be targeting organizations. So this is again is going to be extremely sophisticated and very difficult to defend or protect the organizations or individuals. So this is why Elon Musk said AI will be the reason or cause for the next world war, because the way it is going to be part of our life, way it will be going to be used by different stakeholders could be triggering the next world war. Because the AI could be weaponized, AI could be used to target organizations and states in a very negative manner if it falls into the wrong hands, which is, at this point of time, it's very difficult to control. And another point is that even machine-to-machine attacks could be happening. So there could be AI-based or robotic or even systems that could be triggering attacks against another robotic system or another AI-based system. So those things could be opening up a lot of wide variety of possibilities in the future. So coming to a final few slides of my presentation, I just want to ask you, why, after spending so much of money, after buying so many solutions, even Credence is selling so many solutions, and we are buying all these solutions, implementing all this, still, cybersecurity is an issue which we don't have a kind of a magic bullet yet. What are the reasons why cybersecurity is always the hot topic or the discussion? Because the world is fully depending on technology. The world is fully on digital. You cannot do, or you don't do anything now physically without using a IT component or a technology element. It's part and parcel of our life. At the same time, the attackers, the bad guys also knows this, and they also leverage these tools and solutions, the social media, the mobile phone, the internet, the email, for launching their attacks. That is actually one reason why we have to be always having the right controls and the right protection. The other few reasons I just want to touch upon. See, now, most of the time, and now if you see this COVID situation, everything has to be going live very quickly. I mean, if you are developing a software, there is no time to ensure they are secure, the right security is there. And in the past also, every time, the solutions or the time to market was driving the whole products and solutions releasing to the world. So they comes with a very poorly written softwares. I mean, there is no right security controls in these softwares. So that is the nature of software development in the past. It's getting changed, but then whatever the once which is developed and still we are using, and we're not following that, still there is an impact. See, internet design itself, when it is originated, it was not meant for security. It is meant to share certain information between a very closed group of people. That is being in the Department of Defense in US. And then it's expanded to the whole world to connect and to share and to, use the services. So that's a fundamental problem of security or the internet itself. See, the other aspect is most of the systems or services are now getting connected. All are connected. There's an interconnection between mobile and internet and systems and transport system, electricity, everything is connected. So that connectivity brings more and more risk. Connectivity brings more vulnerability. So we don't have that visibility, comprehensive visibility of the security risk when there is a lot of connectivity comes, because one weak component in that whole spectrum or all landscape can bring in security risk to the to the whole environment. So that is another aspect of why security is still a concern. The complexity of solutions and technology, because once solution is big complex, the risk, the vulnerability is also difficult to identify, the risk is difficult to kind of enumerate, and then the control implementation become more complex. So that's kind of a challenge, always a catch-up game for security professionals. So that is another thing. Now, if you see a long time back, when you have a telephone, the telephone will do what? Just make calls and receive calls, nothing else. So the opportunity to manipulate or compromise that is very, very very, very difficult, and the return on that investment is very less. So it's like not extensible. Now if you see the phone in my hand, it's more powerful than my PC or my laptop. It has more memory, more space. I can do everything what I want to do in that phone. So the extensibility, I mean, it's kind of, and the number of applications in those phone, one of them compromise can actually compromise my phone. So this is another factor, because that's a malware that could be targeting one of this application in my phone itself can compromise my phone. It's not the case when I had a phone where it was only doing a phone's function. It's not now a phone. It's a a device that can do everything, and then it opens up a lot of possibility of compromise. So what are the things as an organization or as an country, what we should be doing? See, we don't have again a magic solution, and I cannot give a full solution for for my audience here, but at least I want to touch upon few of the key aspects that needs to be looked into. So any information security program should have a right governance. So there has to be a clearly defined organization structure. There has to be a leader who can lead. I mean, a CISO. I mean, like if you appoint a CISO, then he has to have the right authority, right organization structure, the right team, and right policies and procedures and framework that should drive the whole cybersecurity program, for if it is an organization or if it is for a nation. There has to be a structured and governed approach. So the cybersecurity strategy has to be aligned with the current gap and what you want to achieve and how do you want to execute that. And based on your environment, I mean, based on the gaps, you may have to do a risk assessment of your cybersecurity risk, and you have to define what are the controls required, and you have to have a very structured and phased approach to mitigate those risks. So now all these policies, procedures, framework, and the organization structure, very nice to speak, but at the same time to implement and operate those are actually a big challenge. So you have to ensure that you have the mandate, you have the right authority to operationalize this information security framework and the cybersecurity strategy on the ground. For operationalizing the cybersecurity strategy, you need to have the right team, you need to have the right technology, you need to have the awareness, you need to make sure that you have the authority to execute and implement on the ground those strategy and those policies. So some of the key elements which we should be not missing is having the right security awareness program, having the focus on data and access, because the data and access is one of the key aspects that needs to be looked into in information security, and align with the required regulatory and legal requirements, and ensure that you have a 24/7 very solid security monitoring and response process in place. And how do you measure that you are improving and you're making, because you cannot have 100% security, or you cannot have everything implemented overnight. There is a very timely defined phased approach to security program, even if it is for an organization or even if it is for a nation state. So what are the fundamental or basic hygiene of what we should be following is that make sure that you have a plan, you have a structured plan based on your strategy, you have basic system hygiene you follow across, you have the basic security awareness across the organization that users are following, and also make sure the approach is risk based and business enabling, because especially for cyber security is being looked at by organization as a policymaker or a blocker or delay the stuff. So cybersecurity has to enable the business and empower the business, especially now if you see the COVID scenario, to have the right technology, right services, right solution for the organizations are very important without impacting the security posture. Because if you don't facilitate the business to work from home or work in a very dynamic manner across the world, and leverage all the benefits, all the services what cloud offers, or all the latest technology offers, the business is going to be impacted in terms of financial, in terms of capability, in terms of competition. So you have to facilitate those by ensuring that a risk-based approach to security, an agile approach to security, so that you ensure the security, but at the same time the business and the organization and the nation adopt the latest in technology and grow as it envisage. So basically make sure that you have a very structured and risk-based information security or cybersecurity program that is being customized to the business or the organization you represent or you work for. So that is something is applicable for a nation also, because to protect from the cyber war or to protect from the advanced attacks or breaches that is happening and that is going to increase in the future, or the different type of frauds that is happening in the world. So everyone has to adopt a very structured, organized program to manage the risk associated. That's it from my side today, and I really thank you all for listening to me, and thank Gareth and Credent Security for organizing this wonderful event. And I believe I have given some thoughts to ponder with, and the objective is just to trigger your imagination, your thoughts, so that you do further research, further investigation, further studies to come out with a better approach in your security program, security projects, so that it really add value to your organization and your country. Thank you very much. Really appreciate. Thank you.